Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on Facebook Live via our Be Live account. My name is Wendy Vaughn.
And I'm Pili Bailey.
And together, when these two spirits combine, we are Happy Hippie Me. And Happy Hippie Me, just so you know, those of you who may not have watched us before, was born out of a desire for Pili and myself to share real life health topics and journeys that we've been through on our own. And so the information coming to you tonight is not from a doctor. It's if you get some insight from this, wonderful, but we definitely encourage you to talk anything that you learned tonight over with your healthcare professionals before you dive into anything new. But we are huge proponents of holistic medicine and holistic approaches. And Pili, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
No. I think that was right, and I'm with her.
So sometimes it's a bit tough to tell how things are coming through. So those of you who are on, hey, Elizabeth, we see you. Hi, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Anybody else?
It's always like the first few moments when we're doing the live that Facebook is going out and broadcasting, that we're out there and we're just working out all the technical kinks and allowing everybody to get on. So it's this is just part of being live, right?
Exactly. So, I mean, as we're waiting on a couple other things, a couple of other people I see on here, I can't completely make out your names, but if you want to give us a little smiley face or a heart or just a little message so I can make sure. Diana, I see you. J Love, what's up? And I also see, oh, Elizabeth, I see that you, okay, awesome. So please, anybody else on there, you just give us a little something so we know that this is coming through live and correct. So tonight, Pili and I, we share, like we said earlier, a lot about our health journey. And tonight's video that we're going to screen is by a doctor named Dr. Bruce Lipton. And he taught medicine for 20 years at universities around the country. He taught at a few different universities. And he engaged in a lot of research, which eventually led him to discover different things about the connection of our bodies, our actual physical bodies, and our minds. So I thought this video was really important to share because it has a lot to do, and it actually supports what we talk about on our show quite a bit, and also I think what we've experienced in our own health journeys. So let me go ahead and cue that up really quickly.
Elizabeth asked a question. She asked if I've seen, I guess there's a Netflix show called Health. I haven't seen it. There's a Netflix show called Health.
Oh, wow.
I will definitely check it out. I just watched a Prime Now show called Food Matters, and that one, it was really speaking to me. So I'm all about getting new topics. She said, watch Dr. Sadhguru. He talked about a lot of great things. All right, we're going to check that out.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy to learn about that one. That's kind of how we came to discover what we're about to screen now. Dr. Lipton has been around for many years, and I thought this was really kind of neat when I found it, because it came as a result of just our study on all the stuff that we already are into. So let me just check this out. There's a little something funny going on here.
You're all having a little bit of delay. So like I'm looking at the video on my end. Has everybody else, can you guys see and hear us correctly, or is there any kind of delay?
Well, I know that delay is partially due to a just what the program itself does for Be Live. and it does that so that we can kind of like, if we say a bad word, we can catch it. So ideally, we're not afraid of no bad words though, but
We're grown-ups.
literally. So ideally, somebody else would be doing what I'm doing so that I could just focus on talking, but we don't have that
So
ability
that,
tonight.
exactly. So that's going to be on our next fundraising round.
I know, literally. All right, guys. So I'm about to share my screen. So you're going to see Pili and I. We're going to solo this. All right. And now I think we're still, okay, guys, here we go.
"95% of our life is coming from the programs of life, how to live life that we get in the first 7 years of life. That's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich." The movie The Matrix is not science fiction. It's a documentary. Every human, this is a fact, every human first 7 years is downloaded hypnosis. The brain of a child under 7 is in a lower vibrational frequency. When you put wires on a person's head, you read electroencephalograph, reading brain activity. A child below 7 has a lower vibration than consciousness. It's called theta. Theta is imagination. Oh, that's how kids play a tea party with mud pies, but to them it's a real thing. A kid rides a broom, it's a horse. That's theta, imagination. Theta is also hypnosis. And the idea is this: before you can become conscious, if you don't have any programs, what are you going to be conscious of? So nature makes the first 7 years. What kind of programs are required to live on this planet? I say, how do you get them? Theta is hypnosis. You just watch. You watch your parents, you watch your siblings and your community, because you have to learn how many 100,000 rules. Think about it. Just to be a functional member of a family and a functional member of a community, there are rules. Teach an infant these rules. It's like, oh, you don't have to. First 7 years, they observe it and just download it. Look, this is not new. I mean, there's the famous book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And basically said, you come from a poor family and you could struggle your whole life and try to get rich, but you're not going to make it. And if you come from a rich family, you could be stupid your whole life and make it. Not because it was thinking, but it was unconscious behavior that was downloaded from rich families into kids, which is unconscious. So they're making the right moves unconsciously. If they engage their conscious mind, then they look stupid, but it's unconscious. And that's the same thing with poor people. Poor people have beliefs from the family. Oh, you can't make it, life's a struggle, things are hard, who do you think you are? And if that's the program you get, then 95% of the day you will sabotage yourself. And that's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich, because the program. 95% of our life, it's a fact, comes from those programs in the subconscious. Every day, only about 5% of their life are you using conscious, which is creative. 5%.
So your life is being lived, even though you think you're living your life.
Exactly, and you don't see it because it's called subconscious, below conscious. And the Jesuits, for 400 years, they were boasting. People didn't understand. They say, give me a child until it's 7 and I will show you the man. They've been saying that for 400 years because they knew 7 years was the program period. And 95% of your life after that will be whatever that program is. So you don't have to try and think about what happened. I just say, look at your life. The things you like that come into your life come in because you have a program that supports that. But anything you struggle with, work hard at, put a lot of effort into making it happen, why you're working so hard, inevitably, you have a program that doesn't support that conclusion and you're trying to override the program. So you don't need to do a lot of strength and psychology stuff. You just look at your life and say, where am I struggling? Because wherever you're struggling, inevitably it's a program in your subconscious that does not support that destination you've been looking for. The conscious mind is creative and can learn in any number of ways. Read a self-help book, go to a lecture, listen to this program, and conscious mind's going to get some awareness. And I go, yeah, but subconscious mind doesn't learn that way. I go, right, it doesn't. Subconscious mind learns in two fundamental ways naturally. hypnosis, which is the first 7 years. And after age 7, how do you put new programs in? Repetition, practice. You want to drive a car, you didn't learn how by just getting in the seat and put the key in. You had to practice driving the car. You want to learn the alphabet. How many times did you go from A to Z? Try to go to A to Z before you can complete it. Once you completed it, you didn't have to go back and do it again. So 2 phases. You want to train the subconscious mind? Hypnosis, repetition. I like the last one because there's a new phrase that's bandied about called fake it till you make it. Meaning, if you're not a happy person and say you want to be a happy person, then repeat all the time, I'm happy, I'm happy. You say, well, you don't look happy or anything. Say, no, who am I talking to? By repetition, I'm talking to subconscious. If subconscious gets, I am happy, and 95% of your life comes from that subconscious, there will be a point once the subconscious got, I am happy, you don't have to say it again.
Okay.
It'll be automatic.
And that's why we see people do affirmations and gratitude journals and stuff, because if you do that daily,
it's repetitive. And that's the secret part. Look, putting a sticky note on the refrigerator is more like a suggestion, but it's not a repetition. So it doesn't work very well. But you have to do, repetition is a habit. It's making habit. So you got to do something religiously in the sense of repeating it to make it work.
All right, so we're going to come back on. I just wanted to hope you all enjoyed that. So I stopped my share. You guys can see on my thumbnails. Pili, are you there?
I am here and I am vibrating. Like I am buzzing.
Okay, so hold on.
excitement.
Wait. Okay, here we go. Okay. I'm like, let me get out of here. All right. Okay. All right. So
I
you're
am
buzzing?
here and I am buzzing. I am buzzing with excitement.
Okay. So
You were so dead on when you said we should watch that video. At first I was like, wait, but I thought we had another plan. But, oh my gosh, no, I'm so grateful. Yes, that resonates. That is in line with what I feel, in my spirit, how the internal voice of my consciousness has been coming to me and talking about just that, and how important it is to put in my mind what is good and positive. And I don't know, I didn't know about that statistic, about the poor people and the way that that early programming from 0 to 7 and those messages that you tell yourself, and how that is what keeps you feeling stuck. And why there are some people that seem to just be able to run, and then there are other people that seem to just get hit by every roadblock in life, and how much of it is the thinking and the thought process. Whoa.
exactly. I mean, so what I thought, if you all Google or go on YouTube and type in the search, Dr. Bruce Lipton, there's so much information out there. He has at least 3 books that I know about. One is called The Science of Belief. And I mean, it really goes a little bit deeper to explain that mind-body connection. I see that you said some stuff right here I want to share. The reason because of to be grateful, we are unsure what the future holds. Exactly. And it's a natural feeling for us to have a little bit of a shakiness, a little bit of a fearfulness of the unknown. That's natural. But when you trust, when you have faith, that's when you evoke a certain amount of calm and resting in what's good. That's actually what I've heard some people even say the definition of hope is. It's the confident expectation of good. And that doesn't mean before you get to that ultimate good destination that you're not going to have challenges. And so if you look at his 2-hour long lectures where he's talking in front of people, he also goes a little bit more into his history. He trained medical professionals, medical doctors, and taught them at different universities for 20 years. He believed in the more Democritus theory. And for people who are really into science, they know that his theory was based on the inside out. It was the body is a machine. And so it was the belief that, not that the mind, but that our genes, our actual DNA is what dictated our health. And it makes sometimes certain people who feel like, oh, well, because my mom had breast cancer or because my dad had high blood pressure, this just runs in my family. I don't have any choice. But down to the molecular, down to the cellular level, there is a lot more that has to do with the environment around the cell, the environment we create in this beautiful noggin of ours that has to do with the actual onset of, let's say, cancer or high blood pressure or disease, how we deal with the stresses that are in our lives. It's really deep. So, I mean, one of the things even that Pili earlier today you shared with me, you have a son, my beautiful younger cousin, Gabriel.
Yeah.
And what did he do today?
Well, today, so I had to work. So I work from home sometimes. And I'm a yoga teacher, and sometimes I have to be working from home, sending out emails, doing whatever. So I brought my son home, and I said, okay, buddy, I need like an hour. I just have to get something together. I have a big event tomorrow. And so I set myself up in my space. And if you go to my Instagram channel, which is essentially yoga space, you'll see a picture of him in his little space. So basically, I have my space. This is my yoga corner. And I am actually here on the floor amidst a bunch of essential oils. Can you see that?
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, so I'm here amidst a bunch of essential oils that I am going through for my wellness day tomorrow. And so I'm over here today with my computer, and Gabriel comes in and he says, well, I want to have a setup that's just like yours, Mom. And so he gets one of my yoga blankets, and he gets my yoga blocks, and he has our old laptop that just recently died. And so I just got this new one. And so he has a coffee cup because I had my tea. So he gets a coffee cup with a smoothie in there. And he's just pounding away at this laptop, just like I was earlier today. And then I go over to him, and I wanted to see, what he was doing. And he says, Mom, do you want me to teach you an oils class? And he had some oils set up on my yoga block. And he just pulled out his little kid's oil kit, and he went one by one through the oils and told me what each one does and how he uses them and where he puts it on his body. And I was just shocked. I was like, this was not staged. I had no idea this was going to happen. But of course, I pulled my camera out because I wanted to document whatever was going to happen. I wanted to document it. And I'm so glad I did. And it was so beautiful to me because, as I got to the end of it, and he's telling me about each oil and how he uses them. And one of the phrases he says, yes, well, people use oils if they have anxiety or if they just want to put oils on. I just love that. And he's like, yeah, you put oils on when you feel sick. And yeah, I just put it on wherever I want to put it on. It's just, and I just love that because I think sometimes, sometimes people get so afraid of using natural things, using natural products, and because I don't know, I'm not sure what it's going to do, or I don't know all the different things, or I don't even know how to tell other people how to use them. And to see this little 5-year-old be able to very clearly explain how he uses the oils to support his brain, to support his heart, to support his body when it doesn't feel good, and to support his, mental well-being and emotional well-being. It was just so profound. And so I asked him, I was like, how did you learn all this? And he's like, from watching you.
I love that.
And that just made my heart sing. Because it's so, that's what you want as a parent, right? You want them to learn from you good things. And a lot of times they learn all of the things, whether they're good or they're bad, because they are picking up everything and they are observing everything. But I'm just grateful that what he has observed in our home around using essential oils is that they work, they help your body, and that he has the confidence to be able to choose the right oils for him.
Right. Now, so that is right in line with what we just learned from the video by Dr. Lipton, because we learned that between the ages of 1 and 7, sometimes you might find a couple of studies that say 1 through 6, but basically somewhere within the first 6 to 7 years of life, children, all of us, were in a brain frequency, and everything, this is physics, has a vibration, it has a frequency. So the brain frequency of that age range really allows the absorption of everything in its environment. You learn pretty much everything about what's good, what's bad, what's harmful, what's safe during that time. And I've noticed this when I meet other parents who have young children, how the parent reacts to, like, let's say like a little boo-boo, like if the kid is running and like falls, if the parent goes out of this world like crazy about it, then the child learns it's a bad thing and they cry. If the parent goes, "Oh man, did that hurt? Well, you got it. Get on up and keep going." The kid just goes, "Oh yeah, I do, huh?" And they keep going. They keep running. I mean, he talks about how in his other videos, all babies are born knowing how to swim. But then once parents are older, trying in an effort to keep their children safe, they teach them, "Oh no, he's going outside, close to the pool. Oh, run and get the baby. They're getting too close to the body of water or the bathtub." And there's this instant fear that's around water. Then around like 8 or 9, they take them to swim classes and the kids are freaked out. I mean, that was me. I'll just raise my hand. I still don't know how to swim. Okay. Sorry.
Wait. I'm so sorry. My face just called it out. I was like,
8 or 9. It was like not gonna happen. But if you would have caught me right before then, I would have been fine. So
it's true, because like with my son, I put him in the water, like I think he was 8 months, and he's been a fish like ever since.
Wow.
Like, he was swimming on his own completely by himself at 2, like not needing, like I could just throw him in the water, and maybe it was 2.5, like 2.5, almost 3, but like I could just throw him in the water and he would just swim.
I love that. And so that starts to, what does that teach us? That fear is learned. And don't get me wrong.
And passed on. Fear is learned and taught.
Right. It's learned from our environment, from the people oftentimes who are totally keeping us safe, because there's such thing as healthy fear. Like, hey, don't light that firecracker in the house. Like there's healthy fear too. So, this is just giving like a wide, a few different examples of how it is that we build who we are at such young ages, and then how we basically spend the rest of our lives dealing with the success, and then sometimes having to rework those connections that were made at those young ages. So Pili talks a lot about, of course, the power of breathing. And I don't know why, but there's just certain stuff that I have a hard time doing. Yoga, I love, but it's hard. And it's definitely hard to breathe while I'm doing it, or at least to remember to do it, because I want to get the pose perfect. I want to make sure that I like get a good cardio. I want the flow yoga that's gonna give me a little bit of a sweat, or I won't even do yoga because it requires me to be a little too focused. I'd rather walk, because I can be on the phone and send off emails and all kind of stuff all at the same time. But what is the beauty of yoga and breathing based on the video that he just shared?
I mean, you're training your conscious mind, right?
Bingo.
You're training, yeah, and you're training your conscious mind, but you're also allowing your subconscious mind to move toward the conscious, because you're not able to deal with what is subconscious, right? You can't deal with that. So it's only when it becomes conscious through, sometimes it becomes conscious through turmoil, through reaction, through mindfulness, or self-awareness, I should say. So that is what yoga teaches us. It teaches us how to develop self-awareness. It teaches us how to be able to feel the space between the breaths. Have you
Feel
ever thought
the
about
space
that?
between breaths. You know, no. And I think on a few episodes ago, you just even explained to me the importance of breathing solely in through your nose and out through your nose, because when I was younger, most of the workouts would always be in through your nose, out through your mouth. And you had a really cool reason why it's supposed to be in your nose and out your nose. Do you mind sharing that?
When we breathe in and out through our nose, there's a couple different processes that happen. One of the processes is that it's a filtration system. So breathing in through your nose is a natural filtration system for your body. First of all, in order for your body to be able to react well to the oxygen that you're bringing in, it needs to be warmed. So as it comes through your nose, it's being warmed before it hits your lungs. Also, when you're breathing in through your nose, we have those nose hairs that some people want to pluck, but they're there for a reason. And that's also part of the filtration system. It's stopping germs and bacteria from getting into our lungs and into our respiratory system. So those are two reasons. Then there's a third reason. That third reason is that there is an actual chemical release in the brain that allows your body to shift from its fight and flight nervous system, which is the sympathetic nervous system, to its rest and digest, which is the parasympathetic nervous system. So when we're breathing in through our nose and out through our nose, we're signaling to our body that all is well and you can be at rest. It's time to rest and digest. When we're breathing in through our nose and out through our mouth, or we're yet in through our mouth and out through our mouth, we're signaling to our body that this is a time of anxiety, this is a time of stress, this is a time of needing to hyperventilate, so we have quick oxygen to be able to run quickly, right?
Wow.
And if we were running from a predator, that would be an appropriate response. But like you mentioned earlier, Wendy, like we're having the same responses to, a coworker missing a deadline to we're being chased by a tiger, right? So then if that is happening in our bodies, then there's a whole other chemical cascade that gets released that wreaks havoc on our body. And those are the stress hormones and the stress chemicals. Start a whole chain reaction of bad.
It's so true. And one of the things that I've been doing, one of the things that I think, I'll just speak for my own self, that a lot of the health issues I've dealt with have come from is perfectionism. This need to be perfect, this need to get everything done in this like perfect manner. And my life is very much a work in progress, which I know everyone's lives are. And I built that sense of needing to be perfect from a series of interactions with people who I really cared about and people who were authority figures in my lives. I mean, in my life, and people around me in their lives as well. So their opinion mattered greatly. And I find that sometimes I hold myself to standards or to certain things that need to be done that aren't really real. It's like, in a perfect world, this is what I would want. And so then, in a perfect world, this is what I would want. Okay, great. And so these start living, and like things are starting to like fall into place. And then all of a sudden, there's just one little piece of that is like not quite fitting in place. And the only
into the puzzle that I created for myself when I was 5.
That I was 5 or 7 or freaking 18 when I just knew everything. So you know, I know for a fact that when 25 years old came in my life, I was suffering from a little bit of a depression. I had a degree, but I wasn't quite working in the field that I wanted to work in. And there were these things that I was trying to do, and I didn't feel like, oh my God, I'm not married. I'm nowhere near a kid. I don't have a picket fence. Like, it was so many like little things that I had told myself I was going to have. And it was,
Yep.
and also it was because I had so many wins at a young age, like just everything that I wanted had always fallen in place, that when the same effort and the same tenacity and optimism came for other things that I wanted as an adult, I didn't quite understand it. So there's another video that he has. It's actually a podcast, and it's an interview with this younger gentleman, and he's directing the last portion of that interview to millennials in particular. And, you know, there's all these different, if you look at different sources, they'll say that millennials started different years and all that kind of stuff. But I think everybody, no matter what age you are, today are trying to find where you fit in, especially when it comes to making your livelihood and being happy and fulfilled. That question is difficult to answer than it used to be 50 years ago. And so I've found that because of technology and the way that our new economy works and different things, a lot of people find themselves not quite where they thought they were going to be. And it wasn't because they were lazy, and it wasn't because they were goofing off. And that kind of does something to the inner spirit. It even can create some shame or feeling ashamed or guilty, like, man, what is wrong with me? Like, eventually you ask that question, right? Especially when everybody else is posting all these pictures on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And it's like, wow, they seem to have it all together. And what you don't know is that they're shooting you these pictures from this range, right? And you're like, oh man, like, flawless. They're not giving you this range where everything is under construction.
I mean, that is the reason that I post like videos and pictures of my house in whatever state it's in, because I don't want to portray this false impression of myself. I want to be an authentic and real person, and this is life. Life is messy. Things don't always fit into a neat little package or a bow. And our challenge and our gift really is to find the diamonds and to find the jewels and to find the precious blossoms in the midst of all the chaos and in the midst of all the mess and in the midst of all the mundane, the things that you can really, hang your hat on, the things that you can really say, no matter where I am and what I'm doing, having this in my life is where I feel fulfilled, or being with these people is where I feel the most alive, or devoting my time and attention to this, particular population of people or to this particular community is where I feel called, and allowing ourselves to really answer that call, right?
Right. Well,
if you in that, and
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No,
well, what I was saying is, so Dr. Lipton, in his analogy, the same way that our DNA and what we get, the genetics from our parents, doesn't matter as much as what the government here is saying. Because the government here, which is constructed, right? When we look at ourselves in the mirror, we don't realize that we're really comprised of like these 4 trillion cells that were influenced by a community of people. And sometimes generations before that we will never meet in real life, but they've been impacting us in these different ways. So in the same way, we have this world that is totally turned upside down because of globalization and technology, and the way a lot of the systems in our world today still, the expectations that are still being held up are different than what we are actually living right now. And so he uses that same principle of like what goes on in our inner space to talk about our lives like in like its totality. And so it was a crazy that link I'm going to definitely post under this video. So anyone who's interested in learning a bit more, I'll post those 2 links to those YouTube videos because it was really fascinating. And once again, this isn't some person who isn't studied and researched in the whole 9. He has all the credentials. So that was like, wow. It was just really, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that Melanie says that, you know, she's 28 and still doesn't have it all figured out. And I feel that that is like all of us, right? I'm a little bit older than 28. and I do not have it figured out. But I do feel now that I'm much more aligned and much more on the path of where I am supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And this whole idea that we are supposed to know what we want to do and what we want to be for the rest of our lives when we're 18, when we're 16, when we're 15 is really a ridiculous notion. And I think what people are starting to realize that there are so many different paths you can take, and no one, I think, now the multi-career and the multifaceted person is more celebrated and prized, and there are models that we can follow. But imagine what it was like 10 years before or 20 years before for those pioneers who chosen a different path. And I'm thinking of people like Oprah, right? Like, she made herself into an empire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, who did she have to emulate? She charted that. She charted that. So now we emulate. You know what I mean?
True. That's very true.
That was one thing on the video that I kind of wrestle with. But I'm sure that deeper video, he probably would have gone deeper into it. But it's like, so yes, you get the programming from 0 to 7, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the way you were programmed from 0 to 7 has to stay that way.
Exactly.
And maybe he did, say that, and I just wasn't listening. But that, I feel like that is a major point that I always want to bring to my clients and to the people that I'm working with, is the fact that, like, yes, we may have been dealt a deck that feels like it's stacked against us. But when we start looking at that deck as not stacked against us, but that deck as for us, it starts to shift the way we view our everyday life. And right. I think Wendy knows this, but like, I think every day for this last 6 months or so, I've been listening to the same YouTube video every morning. Like, after I drop my son off at school, I listen to it, and it's the Esther Hicks Morning Rampage. And it was the same video on YouTube, and the problem is that they just took the video down. Like, Monday, it's not there anymore. And I literally have played it every morning for 6 months.
No
so
way.
I had to find, yes, so the one that I listened to that has music. So I've had to find a different one. This one doesn't have music. And now I'm thinking that I'm just going to transcribe the words, and I'm going to record myself saying it. So that I can listen to myself saying it every morning, and I can say it along with myself. But what I can tell you is that doing this every morning has shifted the way I see my life, the way I see my relationships, the way I feel about my business, the way I feel about everything in my life. Relationships that I never thought I would ever feel good about in my life feel wonderful. Mm-hmm. I enjoy them now. And I am just like, it's working. This whole reprogramming your mind and what you think about is what you create. It's real, people. And I'm just saying, like, I'm a science person and I had to test it for myself before I could shout it from the mountaintop. But literally, it works.
Well, you know, it also, for those of us on who are believers, it goes hand in hand. See, a lot of people always looked at hard science and then spirituality and religion as being something that was totally opposite. But Jesus went up high on the mountaintop and meditated. He meditated on not the worst things in the world, but the good things of the world, like those morning rampages and stuff, you know. There's just, it's what are you going to focus on when it comes to the Bible, at least. And I say this for believers because I know that being raised in a Christian household and the type of teaching in particular that I received played into that perfectionism thing, because it was such a huge emphasis on thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. I'm like, okay, well, what can thou do? Can thou, you know,
how to be perfect and how to follow all the rules and how to make Christ proud.
Right.
Because you're doing all the right things, which in reality was just a way to control your behavior, right?
A way to control and monitor behavior. Yeah. So those are the kind of things I just wanted to throw that in there. But when you aren't living in hypervigilance, because your body, as Pili said earlier, your body can feel that, believing that, wow, you know what? Okay, I've just become aware of something. And I know that with repetition, I can create a new habit. That right there, she literally just said it every morning for the last 6 months. It wasn't just one morning. It was every morning. That's that being renewed daily. So these are the kind of things. This is why you have to monitor who it is that you're spending the most of your time with. Where is your energy going on a day-to-day basis? I promise I had a really traumatic situation happen a couple of years ago. And normally this book that I'm reading called Getting Well Again, it talked about how 4 to 6 months after a major traumatic event, after a major trauma, your body will normally have the onset of disease. After my master's program, which was extremely stressful, it was 3 years. I was in a relationship that was really trying at the time. I graduated at the end of April. I flew to Boston to graduate. And when I got back, I was in the hospital every month that summer after I graduated and after I completed. So now the stressful event is all done. And that's when my body fell apart. So it's important for us when we catch ourselves going into that spin out place to just catch ourselves and get curious, observe what's going on. Don't demonize yourself because your body is telling you something. So if you're having a real reaction to something, it's like having a reaction to a negative feeling or being anxious in your body or afraid or any of that kind of stuff is like being mad at your body for having a bump because you ate like something you were allergic to. Like that's what your body is supposed to do. It's telling you, hey, this chocolate isn't good for me right now. Or, you know, that was too much sugar or just whatever. Your body tells you. So your emotions and your feelings. And I say that too, because I was the person, just like on that movie Inside Out, I was joy. I wanted to be happy, happy, joy, joy all the time. And hey, Miss Keller, just in case I didn't say it already. I used to get mad at myself for being mad. And I'm talking about when I actually had a reason to be mad, not because I was mad about something that I wasn't supposed to be mad about. But that's how much I didn't understand that emotion at one point. Anyway, when you have emotions, your body is trying to tell you something very important about that situation. And if you get curious and go, okay, where did I learn this? Why do I feel this way? Am I feeling threatened because somebody actually is trying to hurt me? Or am I feeling threatened because this reminds me of something that once happened, but it's not the situation? When you start to ask those kind of questions. I know it's gonna feel really strange when you first do it too. I'll be honest. I felt real stupid at first. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm just gonna put it out there. When you start asking yourself those kind of questions, it feels strange in the beginning. But when you start to like untangle that knot, oftentimes you find that what's really going on is something super manageable that you don't that isn't scary. And sometimes it is scary, but then there's a way to handle that too. But I'm just saying, like,
and sometimes as you start to pull the thread, so like these are very not advanced, but these are practices that sometimes you might need some coaching on being able to do in the beginning. So sometimes resources is going to see a therapist and that can help you to kind of tease apart and start to think about some of these things. Also, you might choose to take up meditation with a teacher, or take up, practices like yoga or Tai Chi, or things that allow you to create a space for observation. So I find that one of the reasons why people really receive such insights during their yoga practice or right after their yoga practice is because they have moved their body in such a way, they've tapped in, they've connected from their mind to their breath, and from their breath to their body. They've really started to bring themselves into a state of alignment, in which then you're able to view yourself from the inside out, and you're able to get more insights because you've been able to be much more focused, just like a scientist would use a microscope to look deeply inside of a cell, or to be able to see something that's really, really tiny, and to be able to see the fine details in the cell of a plant or whatever it is they're looking at. It's the same way that you train your mind to be able to focus in on your thoughts, on your intentions, on the emotions, on the triggers. You start to be able to see how these things play together. But when your mind is fragmented and your body is out of whack and your breath is erratic, there's no way that you will be able to really have that level of focus to be able to have that insight. So that's why we find some of these practices can be very helpful in developing, fine-tuning that ability to do that process of inquiry that you were talking about.
Very exactly. I mean, it is all connected. That was my point, because if you don't catch it early, your body can actually develop an actual physical reaction. It may be hives, it may be like, like a breakout, and like, man, I've been having great skin. Like, what happened? That's why sometimes a lot of people find that when they get stressed, they have like skin breakouts or something like that, or acne. I actually had developed a fibroid based on a stressful situation a couple of years ago. And I actually, after learning my body long enough, I have been told my chiropractor physician, I was like, I was really stressed out about 4 months ago, and I'm just a little nervous about what's going to happen. And this is after me being safe and feeling better and no longer in that stressful situation. And so, these are the things that I've learned. So I'm pointing it out there because the mind-body connection, your feelings and all of that is connected. And it normally is the first sign of something to come. So at least that's in my experience.
And I think that you pointed out something else that's really important, and it's after a time of deep, prolonged stress, it's important that we program time for rest. And our body will do whatever it needs to do to get that rest. So that's an important thing. And so sometimes you're like, I don't know why my body broke down after a very stressful period. Well, your body needs restoration. We're designed to have periods of rest and periods of energetic output. If we're only outputting, then at some point we're going to run out of energy, and then we have to replenish. And so either you choose to rest on a regular basis and give your body what it needs, or your body will lay you out. And it's not from a place of trying to hurt you. It's from a place of really trying to heal you. Your body, if given the right resources, the right input, and the right environment, will move towards balance. Your body's natural state is one that it wants to be whole and it wants to be well. And if we can give it the right nutrients and the right support and the right environment and the right, mindset and the right everything, the tools that it needs to be able to perform at its optimal, our body wants to go towards healing.
What would you say?
Plays a big role in that healing.
What would you say for the person who is at that point where their body is telling them it needs rest, and the second they sit down to take that nap or just to kick their feet up, the mind takes over with guilt and starts to enumerate what they could be doing? I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but I know so many people who feel guilty for taking that restorative moment for rest.
Yeah, I'm married to one of those people. I am. He's a worker bee, and I love him. He's a worker bee, and he's very industrious, and bees make a lot of honey. So it's good. I'm glad that he has a worker bee mentality, but I have a mentality of I've recognized the importance of rest, and I've also recognized that my body requires, after output, it requires rest. And so I've built that into my work schedule. Now, I'm fortunate to do that because I own my own business, and I think that's some of the reason why people choose to own their own businesses, to be able to have a schedule that fits their lifestyle and be able to have a schedule that they can incorporate, themselves into. And so for me, I've had to get over being guilty about, yes, today, this is the afternoon and I'm going to take a nap. But honestly, like if I'm going to be teaching 4 or 5 classes a day, then that's what my body is going to need. That's what it requires. Yes. And if I'm going to be presenting all day long from 9 to 4 at a wellness event, then my body is going to need to recuperate after that. And I have to be able to build that time into my schedule. So for people who have a hard time with that, one of the things is give yourself permission to explore the possibility that rest is a good thing. Okay? And then, like, the video we watched, start to repeat to yourself, rest is a good thing, right? Rest is best. Saying rest is best, I don't know.
I like that.
But rest is a good thing. Give yourself permission to rest. And so then the other thing is engage your mind in another activity. So don't just leave your mind to allow it to just go from this to-do list to that to-do list. So what I recommend is engage your mind in the process of relaxation. And one of my favorite ways of doing this is by doing a body scan. So as you're laying there and as you're breathing, you allow yourself to feel the crown of your head, feel the top of your head. You allow yourself to feel what it feels like at the very top of your head. And then you move to a different part of your body. So maybe you're feeling your left shoulder. And you feel what it feels like inside of your left shoulder, around your left shoulder. And you just really sense what you feel inside of your left shoulder. And you'll move around to different parts of your body as you do that. And you keep your mind focused on both how you're feeling. So like if you just right now, just having your palm, the palm of your hand, if you were to close your eyes and just feel the tips of your fingers. And you might notice that the tips of your fingers might feel like they're buzzing. Or might feel a little electricity at the very tips of your fingers. Or maybe you feel you know, a lightness, or maybe you feel a warmth or a coolness. So you just observe what you feel, and then observe the palm of your hand and how the palm of your hand feels. And maybe again, you might feel some warmth or tingliness, or maybe you feel like there's energy between your fingers, and you can kind of feel the space between your fingers, and it almost feels palpable.
That is
So as you're
cool.
isn't that cool? So as you're sitting there, you're really feeling that, and you're really just experiencing your body in a new way. Your mind cannot be occupied by your laundry list of to-dos. And so
I
you can
love
do
that.
in a reclined posture. You can do that if you get woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning with a laundry list of to-dos. And my other thing that I would do if you get woken up at 3 in the morning, have a notepad by your desk. 3 in the morning, notepad by the desk. You don't have to turn the lights on. Just start scribbling. Every single thing that's in your mind, just write it down, and then put the notepad down and lay back down. And I bet you your mind will just quiet, and your body can rest.
I'm gonna write that last one that you said about the notepad.
Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, obviously, there are other tools that you could use, like different essential oils that you could use to help quiet your mind and help calm your spirit. Frankincense would be one of them. You know, a blend with lavender and vetiver and wood oils would be very helpful to ground and come out of your mind and be more present in your body.
Right. Thank you, Miss Sheila. We love you. Oh, it's so good to see you. Pretty woman. Yeah. So, well, you know, I think we may be coming up to our time tonight, but I mean, I really, really enjoyed this discussion and just getting a chance to get your take and then some of our viewers' takes on the video. Those of you who just may have tuned in, check out the video I posted on my page by Dr. Bruce Lipton. And also check out the comment section. I'm going to put in a couple of links of his other YouTube videos, which I thought were absolutely amazing. They're a bit longer. That was a 5-minute, like, you know, in a nutshell, but they're worth paying attention to while you're driving. And just open your mind and see what it is that he has to say, because I found it to be really interesting and also very healing. So, and then just again, those of you who may not have seen, you're so welcome. Thank you so much, Miss Sheila. And so for the things that Pili had talked about, what can you do if you're having a hard time feeling like you can rest, because rest is best? Well, she said, first you have to give yourself permission. Think about when someone gives you permission to go ahead and come into work a little late. That just feels good. You don't have to rush. And a lot of times you end up getting there even earlier than you thought you would, because you weren't stressing and making careless mistakes because you were rushing. You know, when people give you permission, does that not help you feel better? Give yourself permission to rest. And then remember that repetition that Dr. Lipton talked about, that is how you begin to get your new habits built. That's the second way that you build into your subconscious the right way. Okay? Engage yourself in relaxation process. Okay? So from head to toe, and that's where Pili was talking about being aware of the very top of your head. What does that feel like right now? Do you have any pains? How she went, you know, don't you just wish you had Pili though, like right there to guide you through that? Because I'm telling you, when I'm going through, you know, the last thing I can do is, Wendi, how's your head? Girl, you know how your head feel. You know, I feel like talking back to myself, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what Wendi and I do. You do have a Pili that gives you that.
I'm like, Pili! No, you know, anyway, sorry. And then, so that was engage yourself in that relaxation. And I really, really enjoyed this one. Have a notepad by your bed and start scribbling thoughts that that keep you awake at night. So the thoughts that keep you awake at night, just write them out, as YN would say, right? Because of her book, Write Out. Just write them out and get them on the paper and out of your head. A couple of things, guys. I had stopped dreaming for a while. I'm not sure what exactly that meant and all that stuff, but there's this thing called binaural beats. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Binaural beats, I want to say. They're different videos on YouTube. Look them up. I'm just going to put that up so you can see how the word is spelled. Look them up, or at least how close it's spelled, because I could be wrong here. But if you look this up in YouTube, you'll find them for all types of things. And I actually have put one on for dreaming, and I've not had a dream since I started listening to them. And I don't even listen to them every night anymore. But it broke through something that I was resisting, I guess, in my head, in order to at least remember my dreams. But I've had dreams every night. And that's a really healthy process. Your body works a lot of things out that you go through that go on throughout your day in your dreams. So anyway, I hope that wasn't too much information, guys. But if you have any questions, you know where you can reach us. You have our Facebooks right here. Pili Bailey, I think, is your Facebook name, right? So Pili Bailey. It is
or
Pili
you can find me at my Essential Yoga Space page.
.com. Yes, her website is so awesome. You gotta check it out. Essential Yoga Space, man. She's doing some awesome things. Pili also does her remote via Zoom or Skype. She does yoga sessions. She did one for me a few weeks ago. It was like 10 minutes. And I'm like because of my old workout habits, when I had more time and different things, 10 minutes is like, that's not even going to do anything. It so relaxed me and had like different areas stretched out. Like I was like, I don't know I had a muscle back there. So make sure that you hit her up for the online. If you can't get to her in Pasadena, those yoga sessions. Okay, guys.
I wanted to tell you also, if you do reach out to me on my website and you wanted to sign up for my newsletter, I'm getting ready to start, and you guys are the first ones to find out about this. So go ahead and get on this newsletter. But so I don't like sending out emails. I'm really terrible at sending out emails, but I love doing videos, and I love doing just kind of talking and sharing spiritual insights and things like that. So what I'm going to be doing for just the people that sign up for my newsletter, I'll be sending little weekly videos where it'll either be just sharing a little nugget, it might be a little brief meditation, or a yoga pose, or just an essential oil tidbit. So it'll just be things that I'm only going to be sharing with people who are on the Essential Yoga Space newsletter. So if you're wanting to get that, then please visit essentialyogaspace.com and just go down to subscribe.
Yay! I love that. Her videos are awesome. Definitely check that out. And you can always find me on Instagram at I am Wendi with an I. You can find me on Facebook, which is probably the best way since we're on Facebook. Just hit me in my DM, even though that has like a negative connotation, but we're going to use it for light. Hit me in my DM. I think the way I said it, I don't know. There's songs.
I don't know. All right. Oh my God.
All right. We love you all. Thank you so much, Flower, for paying attention and giving us your attention. We know that you all can be anywhere tonight. And so I just really appreciate you both. Really appreciate you for joining us for another episode of Happy Hippie Me. And until next time, we salute you. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Good night.